Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Luther.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Big games require big performances, which requires big personalities, which requires big outcomes. And what an outcome that was for Rangers today. 3 points up the roads. Half-time, nobody would ever thought that Rangers would have been coming away with that game, 6-3 at the end. But, what an outcome that's been. And I'm sure everyone that's joining us this afternoon will feel the exact same. Welcome, everyone. This is your post-match Rangers Journal, and you've got a fantastic panel with you to talk through for the next 25 minutes, everything that's going on. So, welcome in. And Mitch, you said you've aged about 20 years since the start of that second half. Is that how you're feeling it?
Aye, mate, I think I read a bloody lie down. We can't do it the easy way, can we?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, mate. We really can't. Marty, how are you feeling after that crazy emotional performance?
Much better than the first half. I don't know what Rangers team that was that we seen in the first half, but definitely an improvement in the second half and well-deserved 3 points in the end.
Absolutely. Graham, you were on the pre-match. Did you ever think your wildest dreams would be talking here this afternoon about a 6-3 victory?
No, not my wildest dreams, and I thought it was some nightmares I was having that first half, and I thought I'm dreading this post-match pod after about 30 minutes. So fair play to the players and the manager for turning that around, because it was looking a very difficult and long afternoon for us. So got 3 points and we march on. 5 cup finals to go now. So 3 points.
Absolutely. Look, we'll get into it in a wee moment. Let's do some housekeeping, folks. So thank you to everyone that's joining us. Hopefully we get a big crowd in for this post-match. First of all, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors, Bluebell Spa and Puerto del Carmen Lanzarote. We know the guys over there will be absolutely enjoying the post-match at the moment, and they might even have the Rangers Journal on if you're in there. Fantastic group over there who look after the pod so well. If you're over in Lanzarote, please go in, tell them the Rangers Journal sent you, and they will absolutely look after you when you're over there. Look, lots to talk about, so we'll try and get through this in a short space of time, but I just want to start off, Mitch. Overall feelings in terms of the fact that Rangers have come through that. I spoke at the start there about big personalities, big mentalities, big performances. Is that right up there, would you say, in terms of the comeback that we've seen? Is that up there with the best of them that you probably see from Rangers?
I think as well, it's the nature of the comeback. It wasn't just let's go and scrape this 3-2 or let's go and just, do the bare minimum to get by. We put, in my opinion, that second half, we laid down a marker to both Hearts and Celtic and said, catch us if you can. Come and get us, because right now we're quite happy being the hunter. And then when it comes time to be the prey, catch us if you can. Yeah,
absolutely. Marty, what was your take on the start of the game? Rangers, for me, came out and looked like they weren't really interested in that first 15-20 minutes. What was your take on it? And was the setup wrong in your opinion, given the fact we went one up top and away from our usual 2 up top?
I don't think the setup was wrong. I think we were going by what we've seen previously with Falkirk games, and obviously the pitch played a vital role in our formation and who we selected as well. But for me, it was just a lack of effort, a lack of drive. I mean, we weren't winning any second balls. We were slow out. Falkirk had more desire to take the game to us than we did them. So for me, that was a real problem. And obviously, Danny made changes at half-time to combat that. But we shouldn't be starting games like that. And for me, that's a real concern that Danny needs to try and get sorted in very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham, what was your view, given the fact that Rangers started as if they were blowing this title race wide open and actually blowing ourselves away from it? What was your view in terms of, was it the pitch, was it the wind, was it just Rangers being Rangers and having that cluster that we always tend to find at some point in the season? But what was your take in terms of how we started the game so badly and we lost those 2 goals really quickly?
I think there was a combination. The pitch played a part. I think some of the conditions and the wind played a part. But what was worrying in that early stage was Falkirk seemed to want it more. They were running a lot harder than us. They were winning second balls, first balls. We didn't look competitive. We didn't look up for it. And if you'd done neutral watching the game not knowing, you would have said Falkirk were the team going for the league title in that first 30 minutes. I think the manager did get the set-up wrong. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but actually when that game played out, you felt we were in the wrong set-up. And it was a big test for the manager at half-time around what he was going to do. He definitely had to change it. You know, not just one thing that caused that opening. We were poor on the ball, poor use of the ball. We didn't string a few passes together. We defended pretty poorly as well. And sometimes I think we were trying to play football at the back, and that came throughout the game, by the way. We just need to clear our lines, get the ball clear, get it out of the pitch, stop putting ourselves under pressure, especially in that pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, at the start of the game, everyone was looking at the back two again. We all said, look, keep Suter out the side, and the managers responded by keeping him out there. We've had Jigga and Fernandez as the main two centre-backs. Tav comes in at right back, McCormick at left back. Some will say it's not our first choice defensive shape. 5 minutes in, Brosio scores. And I think it's probably easy to say it's a calamity at the back. Jigga has a chance to clear it. Chukwani has a chance to clear it. Talk us through that, mate, from your opinion. What was your sense of that, and could we have done better in that situation there?
I think we all know that we could have done better there. You know, I think there was an element of a couple of players' heads were left in the changing room before the game started, I think. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, and we've seen this before with this Rangers team, not necessarily with always the same people, but we've seen this where at the start of a game we give ourselves such a bloody mountain to climb that, you know, I'd love to see us be a 90-minute team, and we've only done it, I would have said, a handful of times this season. And it's something that going forward as a team, it needs ironed out of the team. You start from the off, aggressive, on the front foot, get the ball moving. See, even if you can tell that a couple of your teammates are having an off afternoon, give them the ball, make them fake it till they make it. You know, give them the ball, a few early touches, but nothing stupid with the touches. Keep it simple. Just let them get the yips out their system. Because for me, as you say, Jigga, I mean, I get he put a leg out to it, but I'm not being funny. My granny could have stuck that leg out to it, and she's dead. You know, and when it comes to Chukwani, you know, again, another one culpable at the back for no clearing his lines again either. It's basic football, you know. You see it at amateur level, youth level. Just hoof the ball out the box. Doesn't matter where, but give the rest of the defence a minute to reset. Just give everybody 10, 15 seconds to get back in line and take the nip out of it. But, you know, again, we've put ourselves under that. And, you know, I would have said that's probably as bad a first half for me as we've played since the Russell Martin era at the start of the season.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it happens. We've dusted ourselves down, but stupidity more than anything else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Barty, 5 minutes gone. Obviously, we see the goal. I think Sky Sports had a graphic on screen that showed that Rangers and Falkirk were good at scoring early goals within the first 15 minutes, and that certainly came to the case. Our first chance really came 16 minutes in. Chermiti had a chance from 7 yards. It was a good free kick, walked over the top from Asgard. Chermiti puts it over the top. But at that point, you could see he was arguably offside as well. That was really Rangers' first involvement in it. And then we get to 26 minutes, and again, our passing is all over the place. Our defensive is all over the place. And we didn't think it'd get any worse, but Finn Yates puts it beyond the goalkeeper, makes it 2-0. Up to that point in time, was that what you expected from Falkirk in terms of the way they pressed and the way they managed to get down the sides and take the space in the middle of the park? Or was that all Rangers doing, do you think, at that point?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both. If anybody'd watched the pre-match bit with the managers, the Falkirk manager actually made a point of the fact that he says that we were going to counter on numbers. So it was clear what setup they were going to have today. And if you look at the previous games, they play in a very similar fashion. So it was kind of obvious. But for me, Fernandez and Jigga, I think Fernandez, I think he gets to the point now where he doesn't know what Jigga he's going to get. He's going to get the Jigga that will play an excellent game, or is he going to get the Jigga that will make mistakes? And I think that's what we've seen today. Fernandez that doesn't know what Jigga we're going to get, and Jigga that unfortunately wasn't at his best today. So there was multiple players at fault for the Rangers goals, but you can't take it away from the Falkirk player. That second goal that they got was an epic goal.
Yeah. And Graham, looking at how Falkirk played, somebody was saying in one of our group chats, the amount of space Falkirk were getting in the middle of the park and even down the sides. I know the wind helped down the sides, and we knew the second half would be a little bit different because obviously the wind was playing a big part in that. But Rangers really didn't counter anything Falkirk were doing, and really Falkirk could have been 3-up by the time we get to 40 minutes. And at that point in time, you're saying to yourself, we're in for a real doing here. What do you think changed it, Graham? As we get to, it was the 41st minute where Asgard hits the post, crossing from Raskin. I think it was Gassama's head at the back post, hits the post as well, and then Chukwani puts it into the back of the net. What changed in that point of view for you? Because Rangers really weren't in the game up to that point, and then when it hit the 40th minute, it seems to be we got a wee bit of control, we get that goal, and then before you know it, it's a totally different game at that point. Did we do something? Did you see anything that changed, or was it just a case of Falkirk letting us back into the game at that point?
I thought we rode a wee bit of luck getting that goal when we did. It's always a good time to score that just before the break. We needed a goal before half-time and we got it. And then the old heartbeat goes as soon as you hear VAR and you think it's taking a while. They're really looking here for a reason to rule this out. But thankfully, the goal stood, and then it was a case of just getting to half-time. I think everybody would probably felt who was watching the game that we had to change something at half-time. I think that was probably quite obvious from around the 30-minute mark when we were 2 down. So getting that goal back, I think, was a bonus for us and just set us up. Really good time to score a goal. Manager makes the changes then at half-time. And, a few people saying we need a really early goal. We got the early goal. And then that full momentum swinged. Conditions were with us the second half, whereas they were against us the first half, but probably that combination of things, Chris, that goal just before half-time, the changes the manager made, and then we came out really with the momentum in the second half. And once we get the early goal, you always felt we were going to win the game. Yeah.
And Graham, just stick with yourself there on that one. I want to touch on Mikey Moore. I know Mikey Moore's been carrying a bit of an injury, and Danny Rose mentioned that in the last few games. I thought today he had a couple of chances down the left, but the winds carried the ball out. He's not really done it. He had one shot and goal, I think. Was it the right thing taking him off at half-time? In hindsight, looking back, was it the right thing? Or when you seen that change at half-time, you're sitting there thinking Moore off rather than Asgard. What was your overall thoughts on that one, mate?
I think when you look at it, would you have said we knew Moore had a bit of a knock, so that was always a chance that he wouldn't last that 90 minutes. So I think the other thing is that I find Gassama, and I think somebody put it in the chat, more effective on the left-hand side. I think he gives us, I think that's his position that suits him better, it suits us better as well. So got a bit of Gassama being on his better side. It got the 2 up front, which we needed. Asgard came into the game a bit more the second half, still not doing enough for me, but everyone else seemed to just click. So the manager's got it right. We've won the game 6-3 comfortably in the end, so the changes are right. I just wonder where Moore fits into the side going forward if we're going to go 2 up top. Where do we find that place for Mikey Moore? We need to, I think, but where is it? Because Gassama looked really good, really effective. But it's a good headache for the manager to have, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go on to formation, second half and things like that, Mitch, I just want to say, as Scotty said, guys, he's put on the comments, smash that like button if you can. We've got lots of people watching at the moment, and we've got quite a few watching on YouTube. So please, guys, help the algorithm, help get the likes out if you can. Smash that like button, share as much as you can. Let's get this out there as far and wide as we can possible. Mitch, just from a point of view of the second half, Rangers came out at the second half. Chermiti, we criticised him for the chance he missed in the first half. He wasn't really doing much for me in that first half at all. He could have been one you could have taken off for Miovski. Miovski comes on, we go 2 up top, and it's more of a 4-2-2-2 rather than that 4-4-2 I think they were saying on some of the on Sky. We go 4-2-2-2, we get the goal straight away, and it's came from some great work from Gassama down the left, who I'll touch on a wee bit later because I've been very critical of Gassama and I want to speak about him a little bit. Does great work down the left, wins the ball back, plays it in, and it's a really good finish from Chermiti. One that he's missed in the past. Sometimes we've criticised him for taking those chances. How crucial was that to get that goal at that point in time of the game.
Well, I mean, my Chermity agenda has been ongoing all season, as we both know. I've got me in a plane going to the World Cup for Portugal right now. So, I've got him. My boy's done well today. But I think, in all honesty, I think there's a really stupid mental thing as well, where that start of him only scoring against Hearts and Celtic as well has lingered over his head for months now. It's kind of good just to get the proverbial monkey off his back on that one, where you're like, go out there. And today, I said it pre-match in the group chat, go out and be an £8 million striker. Go out and lead the line, score your goals, don't miss the chances. And he's done that today. You know, I don't know necessarily how much he knew about the first goal, because I'm not being furry. Most of us probably would have got it. It was a tap-in, more or less. Yeah. But as you say, you need to put it in the net. And I think for his confidence, you've seen it the minute he got the goal. He just relaxed a wee bit. The shoulders dropped down. He was a bit more swagger about himself. But I think Chermity, for me, plays much better in a two in general. He's not the clinical striker that's going to be in the partnership. He's the striker that doesn't mind dropping back into the hole a wee bit and, kind of dictating play, bringing wingers into it, bringing runners into the game because he's got that big physical presence about him. But lo and behold, when he does what a striker's supposed to do and he stays in the freaking box, you'll get yourself an opportunity to score. And I think that's the bit where he needs to be a wee bit more selfish, where don't worry about bringing your teammates into it, let them bring you into it. And I think that's where, and maybe I think when he plays with the likes of Majowski, because Majowski is, let's call a spade, he's a poacher striker, and he'll score the scuffy goals, he'll score the minging goals that nobody else wants to go and score because he's in the right place to do it. And I think that's the bit that maybe Majowski's maybe working with him, kind of try to teach him a little bit on the training ground of just get in the box, stay there and let other people worry about finding you. And lo and behold, when you do that, the ball ends up in the back of the net. Football doesn't need to be overly complicated. I've said it before. Put ball in net, keep ball out in it. And if you're in the right place, you're going to put the ball in the net. And I think that's that wee clinical edge that he's maybe starting to develop now. Because a lot of people forget he's only, 21, 22?
Yeah.
It'll come in time.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's a good shout. And I think we've got to give him back credit for today. I think his goals today were top notch and he done really well with them. But Marty, I just wanted to touch on the role that Majowski plays. Majowski, when he came on at the start of the second half, I thought we looked totally different. Mitch talks about football being simple. And when Majowski came on, it looked as if we'd done really, really simple football. Just after we scored with Chermity to make it 2-2, there's a long punt up the park. Chermity knocks it on. Sorry, Majowski knocks it on. Chermity runs through and he puts it over the bar, right? He has a chance. It's a tough chance. But when Mitch is talking about it being simple and simple football and the way it is that what we should be looking for from Rangers with two up top? It's simple football, long ball up. Chermity's get the height. He should be winning those headers every week and laying it off to Sunday, or Majowski should be winning it, laying off to Sunday. Is that the beauty of Rangers when we've got that option now with Majowski in there in the dairy if he makes it back between now and the end of the season?
I think, no offence to Mitch, I think it's a little bit too simplistic. There's teams that have got more height in their squad than we have. I agree with having Chermity up there that a long ball was beneficial to us, but there's times where we've got opposition against us that a long ball isn't beneficial to us because, as we've seen in the first half, we're not always at the races and we might not get that first ball, but if we're not getting the second ball, there's no point in punting it up the pitch because all you're doing is giving it back to the opposition. So I agree to a certain extent, but it's got to be varied. You can't just have that long ball as an option every single time. There's got to be a variation there to spice things up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Marty, what about Raskin's goal? He took it really well, obviously 51 minutes. By that point, he puts us in front. He's took the goal really well. He's made that run. I think for Raskin, for me, Marty, sometimes he's guilty of too much of sitting back and come and take the ball off the defenders and sitting inside that 6-yard box and trying to make the pass. At the start of the second half in particular, we've seen him making those forward runs. And he done a forward run maybe 2 or 3 times through the game. This one he's managed to get on the end of. He's finished it well. How impressed were you with Raskin in terms of that forward movement? And in your opinion, Marty, do you think Raskin is more suited in that position rather than trying to play that number 6 role?
Me personally, I think he's wasted in the number 6 role because he has so much more to offer going forward than some of the options that we do have there. And he's shown today, not so much the first half because he was quite quiet in the first half, but the second half, those forward runs, even if he wasn't taking shots himself, he was passing it off and making himself available again. That's what you want from an attacking midfielder. And when he's sitting back and defending, or sitting, as we see in spells of the game, sitting in line with the two defenders, that's not where he should be playing. He should be playing further up. He has more influence in the game further up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a number 8 all day, and I think he should be played in that position. Now that Barron's starting to get back, it will be really interesting to see whether Barron goes into that number 6, I think, because that's where he was doing really well before he got the injury. Raskin was playing that bit further forward, so it'll be really interesting to see how we got on with that one. Graham, we look at the next chance. So you look at Miovski's goal, 57 minutes, right? We're talking 12 minutes into the second half, and we've went and turned that game on its head, right? Raskin, we were talking about there, he's played fantastic through the game for me. He's found himself on the left-hand side. It just shows you the type of player he was today because he was all over the park. He's found himself out on the left-hand side, and he's put a delightful ball in from Miovski. And Miovski, let's be honest, he's got a little bit lucky, right? It's come off, I don't know if it's his knee or his thigh and a bit of his stomach. He's got lucky, but he's been there, and I think someone said it, he's in the 18-yard box, he's in between the posts. That's where you need to be if you want to go and score it. At that point, you're thinking, wow, we've done this, it's turned around, there's no issues at all. But again, just if you can, just give me your thoughts on Raskin and Miovski's link-up at that point in time, and how good a goal was that, even though it wasn't the prettiest of finishes, how good a goal was that from Rangers' perspective?
You take them anyway, especially in that pitch in these conditions today. There was a great ball in. Miovski knows where the goal is. He's more often than not in the right positions. It's about us then finding him. So Raskin done it beautifully. All right, there's a bit of luck with how it's went in, but it's went in all the same. But you've got to be in that position to score the goals. And Miovski, more often than not, is in these positions. He's sniffing about that. He's between the posts within the box. He's looking out for any sort of chance he can get anything on the end of. And we've got luck with the ball going in the back of the net. But again, you'd have to say the way we've been out the second half, we deserved that bit of luck because we're playing some good football. We're moving the ball well. We were really going at Falkirk. So you've got to get a wee bit of luck as well. And we got that today with that finish.
Absolutely. And Gabe, just on this one, and I'll let Mitch jump in on the back of this one as well, but at 57 minutes, you're 4-2 up and you're thinking, wow, this game's done. Let's reset the mentality, back to nothing each again in your minds and really just see the game out at that point. 10 minutes later, Tav does what Tav does, and he has an absolute, I don't know what was going through his mind there. As soon as the boy got past him, Graham, I'm shouting at the TV, Tav, what are you doing? Because I knew exactly what was happening next. Boy goes down, penalty kick. What was your view on that one, Graham?
It was criminal, let's be honest. At this level, he shouldn't be meeting that challenge. The Falkirk player's going away for the goal. He just needs to match him in terms of run, close him down. And I don't know what's going through his mind, but it's absolutely criminal. You're right, we felt fairly comfortable at that point with the 2-goal cushion. Thought things are going well, we can see the game out, hopefully another goal. And then it's almost like self-destruct mode with what he did. I just don't understand it. I don't think Sterling would make that challenge. I think he's cleverer in terms of how he defends. But you know what's going on in his mind for him to do that. It was too stupid for words, and it could have let Falkirk back into the game. And we can't afford mistakes like that for the next few games. Every game's a cup final. We will not get away with a mistake like that in every single game going forward. So we need to cut it out. And over the season, we've had a lot of mistakes at the back. So again, whether it's Tav or it's been Butland or Suter, you know, there's been too many mistakes. So they need to be cut out. But a crazy challenge to make, even the fact that we've got a bit of a cushion there as well. I just don't understand it. I do not understand it. Thankfully, it didn't come back to bite us today, but it could easily have come back to bite us on another day.
Absolutely. Mitch, Paul says Phil started outside the box, Falkirk player initiates the contact. But I want to pick up on this because I think Paul does make a good point, right? if you're looking at that from a Rangers perspective, if it was the other way around, you'd be screaming for that penalty all day long, right? There was an incident in the first half, Mitch, that I want to touch on, which was, I think it was, there was a situation where the player goes down, Falkirk player goes down from Chermiti trying to get the ball. Now, the guy's backed into Chermiti, he's thrown himself to the ground, and the commentators say it's good play, right? There's then a situation where Rangers player gets taken out of the game, Chukwani, and they're saying that he was lucky, even though there's more of a foul on it. For me, I think this is where football has lost its identity a little bit. It's a contact sport, right? And you're going to get contact at any point in time. In your opinion, do you agree with Paul? Was that Falkirk player initiating the contact, or was that just stupidness from Tav? What was your thoughts?
Straight stupidity, in all honesty. It's a tackle that didn't need to be made. Graham touched on it there. Players got away from goal. Hold your ground. That's all you need to do, is literally hold your ground. You let him run the ball out, and before you know it, it's a goal kick. That's because realistically, the ball was travelling away for the Falkirk boy. The boy's going away for goal. Chances are he's probably knocking it out of play at that point. At the very least, it's going to give that defence, and I touched on it earlier, it's going to give the defence that extra 5-10 seconds to get back in a line and get sorted and deal with it. Mm-hmm. He puts the team under unnecessary pressure, and I really hate using the age card when it comes to Tav, because again, we all know he has passed his best, but he does still have value to the team. But that was every bit a 34-year-old fullback tackle, where he knows that he's got a young, pacey player beside him, and he's done something a bit stupid because he's been caught out for speed. That's what it boils down to. And again, I know Doug's going to be in the comments having a hairy canary, and he's probably called me everything under the sun. But equally, if you think to yourself, if that is either Max Aarons on that right back side or Sterling in the right back side, neither one of them put the foot in on that challenge. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them give the player the opportunity to throw himself on the floor. And at the end of the day, you said it yourself there when we spoke about it, if you go down, and that's us in the attacking phase of play, we expect the penalty every day of the week. Yeah. We've been done out of, let's call a spade, a bit of legginess from an aging defender at that point. Mm-hmm. Marty, I think you wanted to jump in there, or were you just fixing your hand?
No, it's just to agree with you there, Mitch. To have, instead of using his experience there, he's clearly shown his lack of physicality with his age. It's obviously his legs are not what they were. That's been quite evident for a while now. But at that kind of age, it's a silly thing to do. I mean, you know what's going to happen if you pull a guy or you trip him or anything like that anywhere in or near the box, especially with VAR, especially the way it is this season. So it was a stupid thing to do from Tav. He should have used his experience rather than, this guy's younger and quicker than me. And that's the issue I have with Tav. He's making too many mistakes like that, and it's not the first time this season.
Can I just say as well, Mitch, he did get done with pace, but his positioning's wrong as well. You can almost accept he'll get done with pace at certain points. There'll be quicker players than him, but he's got to be in the right position so he's in a better chance of countering that. And he was completely in the wrong position, and that's what caught him out.
And I think it comes as a two-pronged, mate, because if he's quicker, he gets himself in the better position. And I think, that way, but again, with a defender with that level of experience, should just accept, as you say, the player's quicker, he's got fresher legs than me, just plank myself where I know I should be, and then just hold your ground and let the player make the mistake in putting the ball out. But, I think for me, I sit in a really weird place with Tav just now, where if he took an extension, I don't think I would be that upset. Realistically, I think there will be a portion of the fan base that would absolutely lose the plot if he's given the extension. But I think we have to also look at it in the wider picture. When you look at the cost of players nowadays, if Tav was to stay, but in that second or third choice right back role, then that's, I think for me, for games like today or against the Dundees, and I know we're talking about the mistake today, out with the mistake, Tav was fine today. outside that penalty that he gave away, genuinely he was fine. But I think Baron Lawyers touched on it in the comments there. Have the extension, but surrender the captaincy to somebody who's going to be playing week in, week out at that point. Hang around to help the team, because as we all know, the Max Aarons experiment, it's not went the way that anybody wants it to go. But equally, we can't also have a player sitting on the guts of, 30 grand a week, sitting on the bench either, So if he's not going to take the wage cut and drop the captaincy, then it's difficult to say, come on down and stay for another year.
Yeah, totally agree. I've got to say, guys, I need to bring this comment up. I laughed at this when I seen it, right? Craig Harvey said, when he landed in the Edinburgh airport from Lithuania, it was 2-1 to them. But through security, we made it 4-2 and saw a silly pull from Tav. Screamed so loud I get pulled by the police for screaming. Listen, that is tremendous. Craig, I hope you're all right and you never get searched too much when you start screaming in that one, mate. So fingers crossed you made it through. Good to see. Look, that shows you people follow Rangers everywhere when through the airport, everything to see results, and great to see that one. But Craig, hope you're all good.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Marty, I want to bring up, there's another point I want to bring up, and it came from Paul, because this was a crucial part of the game. So Miller puts the goal in, makes it 4-3. A couple of minutes later, Falkirk had a breakaway. Max Aarons came on at the goal when it made 4-3, came on for Makoma, left back. And Paul's made a really good point here. Glad Aarons took the yellow for the team, and that's what Chucky should have done versus Dundee United. So the point Paul's referring to here is there was a breakaway that Falkirk had. I think it was a 4-on-2. Max Aarons has jumped in the guy's back. I think he thought it was Aintree yesterday still at that point in time, and he's jumped in the guy's back and basically he's hauled him to the ground, which, look, these things happen, and you take the foul and you take the free kick for that, right? How crucial was that at that point in time of the game, Marty? Because at 4-3, you're thinking, we're in for another 15, 20 minutes, really, really tight game here. And if Falkirk got the park at that point, anything could happen. So how crucial was that? And is that just as good as a goal to help us at the other end of the table as well?
For me, yes, it is. It is as good as a goal, because 4 versus 2, and especially the 2 that we have at the back today, that could have quite easily been a goal for Falkirk, and that would completely change the game. So for me, it was a well-taken yellow card for the team today, and credit to Aarons for actually seeing what was going to happen. And I suppose it's classed as a deliberate foul, but take the foul, take the card, and get the players back ready to defend the free kick. I mean, you can't ask more from a player from that when you've got 2 defenders and you can see 4 players running at them. It's what I would deem as a team player and taking the card for the team. It was a silly position for Rangers to be in by losing the possession in the first place, but credit to Aarons for actually seeing that and taking that yellow card, because that could have quite easily resulted in a goal, and that could have changed the momentum of the game.
Absolutely. And Marty, just think to yourself, 2 minutes later, Gassama goes on a great run down the left-hand side. Thought he'd done really well down that left-hand side, and he's obviously had a shot, comes off the arm, kind of shoulder type thing. People are screaming for a penalty, but it didn't matter because Chermiti takes a screamer and puts one again through the goalkeeper. He's put his foot right through it, and at that point in time, again, we can criticise Chermiti because he's had chances like that in the past. He's either put it over the bar or put it to the side or had it straight at the goalkeeper. But he does well to keep it low, get it through the keeper's legs. And at that point in time, you're then thinking, right, 5-3, game over. How crucial was Chermiti and alongside Gassama at that point in time? Someone said in the comments earlier, Gassama thinks had new boots in the last couple of games. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it certainly seems that Gassama, his time on the bench has served him well, because he's come back with a fresh mentality, a fresh attitude, and he's actually producing some decent quality football. And it's nice to actually see him contributing for a change, because he had a spell where he wasn't contributing much for us. I do agree that he is much better on the left-hand side than the right. He definitely has a better performance on the left. And as for the goal, Chermiti's he's got with us this season. He's had time to learn. Although he's took a lot of flack, he has had time to learn. And yes, he's missed a few chances today. But as you said, in games past, Chermiti would have booted it over the bar. So to actually take it the way he did, it shows that he's still learning. It's shown that he's still developing. And it's only a good sign for us in the following seasons if we manage to hold on to him, that he's going to develop into a goal scorer. And that's exactly what we need going forward. We need an out-and-out goal scorer that we know can find the back of the net game in, game out.
Yeah. And Graham, like we're nearly at the final goal here. I think 86 minutes, Miovski scores. It's the only time that I actually felt comfortable in the game when we were 3 goals up. I don't think even with the 2 goals up, I felt comfortable at any point in time. But I just want to give a shout here. Look, Ant-Man comes on. I can't remember what time he came on. I think it was maybe the 81st minute, 82nd minute, right? And Ant-Man's a lot of criticism from a lot of people because he's not been up to speed. He's came on, he's went onto that right-hand side, and he's done a 1-2, got to the byline, cut the ball across, and he's kept it low, which when you get to that point in time, that's what you say to people, hit it low, hit it right across the goal. And obviously Miovski's there to put it home and really seal the points and a tremendous victory for Rangers. But just on Ant-Man first and then Miovski, if you can, how crucial can Ant-Man play in this run-in, do you think, given the fact that we might not see Nadiri, given the fact that I think Danny Rule doesn't always like to play with the 2 up top at all times, and he might not do that between now and the end of the season because we've only got Miovski and Chermiti there. How crucial do you think Ant-Man could be between now and the end of the season, and is he someone that Rangers should be given more chances to?
It's an interesting one because for a while I was thinking the manager just doesn't fancy him. There's a few times where he's been on the bench and he's not got any minutes, but I thought he made quite a positive impact today, which is what we're looking for from that bench. He's shown he could be quite direct. He can create chances into the box and get the ball into the box into dangerous areas. So that's exactly what we're looking for in that right-hand side. So fair play to him, credit to him for setting up the goal. And I think it'll do him the world of good to be a bit of a lift from that as well. And it probably shows the manager, look, you can rely on me. He's not had much of a chance. So he's went on today and went, you can rely on me. I want to be here for the run-in. I want my chance. And he's taken that when he's come on the park today. In terms of Miovski, he's probably there's a few comments Miovski in the chat. I think he's probably the best natural finisher we've got out of our strikers. I think you get him the ball, he can finish it. It's just how he can fit into this team. But he's shown him and Chermiti can lead the line. If Nadiri's going to be out for a bit of time, we're slightly light in numbers up in that end of the pitch. Can Moore maybe plays one of the 2 strikers at some point in the games? I'm not sure, but we'll need to look at how we can make that work. But these 2, both Ant-Man and Miovski, can be real big players for us in the run-in. And I feel I need to dig Craig out. We're in a title run-in and he's travelling through airport. He's not planned that very well at all, You need to have a word, son. But Miovski and Ant-Man, they can be big players for us over the next few games, definitely, especially if they contribute like they did today.
Yeah. So, victory in the end, it's 3 goals better off in the goal difference as well. I think we're now at +5 over Hearts, I think is the way it's showing. Mitch, at half-time, I think probably both our title rivals would have been looking at that and rubbing their hands thinking they're in a really good position. If they went back and looked at it full time, I think they'll probably be sick on this Sunday, if I'm being totally honest. And look, that's the nature of title run-ins. This is what happens and it's there. But I want to come back to a comment that Doug made earlier on, and we've been probably giving Doug tight with the TAV comments and things like that. But Doug made a really, really good point earlier on, and I think it's good to touch on this. We've criticised the team for a lot of these factors, but today they showed mentality, leadership and character to come back and win convincingly. So my question to yourself on this one is that down to the players, do you think, coming out in that second half and realising, look, we've made a mess of that in the first half and we've got lucky? Or is that good man management from Danny Rule in terms of making the change? And because you could see in that second half, he was rolling the players up the park a lot more than what he was doing in the first half. So is that a player change or is that a manager change that it's created that mentality to go and win that game today?
I'm going to give a special shout out to Big Stig and the recruitment team to answer this one. To answer the mentality question is big moments require big players. The big player that was brought in January was Chukwani. He nailed the colour to the mast right at the end of the first half with getting the ball in the back of the net. Mm-hmm. That's what big players and big players with big mentalities do. You know, he told the team, he basically, with that goal, he told the team, we are still in this. And, you know, it's ours to get back in control. And for me, you know, and I think mostly said it throughout the first half up to that point, we were all screaming for somebody in the midfield. You know, Raskin and Chukwani were chasing each other's shadows for most of the first half. And we needed one of them to just grab it by the scruff of the neck and give the proverbial slap to their teammates and say, right, we've had a mare for the first 35, 40 minutes here. Shake it off, dust ourselves down. Because I don't know about you, but when I look at Sasha, you know, Danny Rowe's assistant manager, that's not a guy I want a tongue lashing from at halftime either.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
when you think to yourself, and I think when you answer that mentality question, I think that comes down to what the overall plan looks like in the windows coming ahead. Of the players that have been identified might not always sound the most sexy names, but you see why they've been brought in. You know, when a player like Chukwani to come in there and do it, and then to improve the overall mindset of the rest of the team. I think that it kind of breeds, whether that be false confidence at any given moment or time or real life confidence. I think that's what it boils down to, is actually having the right structural setup. And I think we knew pre-match that Mikey Moore was a doubt for the game. You know, so the fact we got 45 minutes out of him, cracking, you know, the boy's done well. What I do want to go back and touch on is when it comes back to the Oliver Antman situation there, it says a lot that the man that we've got an £8 million option on never got off the bench, you know, for a guy like Ollie Antman. And I think, and I hate using the cliche, but I think Oliver Antman next season is probably like a new signing for the team. He was done dirty under the Russell Martin era, you know, where all the confidence he had was ripped right out of him, sucked away in a vacuum, never to be seen again. And I think he took the injury at the wrong time, you know, just as Danny Rule came in. And I think he's had those couple of niggly injuries, you know, since. And I think for me, he's got a huge future ahead. But we need to build him from being a 15-minute man to being give us a full half and give us the confidence in your ability. You know, not just with nice wee cameos, but nail down a shirt. Show us that we don't need to go out and spend £8 million in Skov You know, and again, no disrespect to Skov I actually quite like Skov but if I don't need to go and spend £8 million on a player because we've already got one in the house that's performing, then show me that I don't need to go and spend it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Look, guys, we're going to come to an end. We've been on a wee bit longer than what we said we were going to be, so I just want to try and get some up on our thoughts here and where we're going to be. So, Marty, just come to yourself, please, if we can. Good win today, 3 goals extra on the goal difference. We've turned in a performance where, look, everyone thought Rangers could have went there and dropped points. I think we all thought it at one point through the course of the week as well, and that seemed to be the case for the first 30 minutes or so, but they've turned it back around. How big a day could this be in the title race, in your opinion, Marty?
Oh, it'll be a vital day because it sets a marker out to Hearts and Celtic that even being 2-0 down and not playing well, we can still come away with a result, and not just a result, but an emphatic result. So it shows that we've not got the mentality that we had at the start of the season, and it's a warning shot across the bow to them that we're not just going to sit back and watch the games pass us by, and we're going to fight to the very end to try and win this title. And that's one of the most important things that you could gather from today, that it has an impact outside of the club, and it shows that we're well and truly in this fight, and we're in it till the very end.
Absolutely. Graham, Rangers have been accused in the last few seasons of having that moment of madness. They've had that moment of madness where it's, you look at back and you think that's the game that causes it to lose. We had the Ross County one last year. We've had numerous ones years before that. Could that have been our game of madness today where we could have lost it? And do you think we've now got that out of the system and we can now move forward from here?
It could have been. We've got 3 difficult away games coming up where we're going to need to apply ourselves the exact same way. And, you know, you talked to the mentality. Yep, they did show character and mentality. But my thing is we need to show that for 90 minutes in these games. We're in this title run in, it's not just enough for 45 minutes to show it or 50 minutes. We're going to go and show that mentality for 90 minutes every game in the run-in, and that's going to be the thing that will define whether we win this league or not, because we're going to play better teams than Falkirk, who would punish us further if we have any more moments like this. So we got the 3 points. That's the minimum expectation in these games. We're going to play some better teams than Falkirk, and we need to be on it from the first whistle going in, and that's imperative if we're going to win this league.
Absolutely. Gents, thank you. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in this afternoon. Thanks to everyone who's put comments in. It's great to see you all. We hope that you are all starting to get the heart rates down a little bit, and everyone's starting to come back down to earth a little bit, because that was an absolute mental Sunday and a mental game, not going to lie. Nobody would have probably said 6-3 at the start of that game, but it is what it is, and we go back second top. We're now not playing for 2 weeks. The team go away on a wee jaunt to Spain. Let's hope they don't pick up the Steven Gerrarditis over there and come back in the way that we've done in sometimes when we went away. Let's hope they come back all guns blazing, and we go and we show Motherwell what we're all about, and back in the title race again at that point in time. But gents, I just want to say thank you for your contributions. Graham, you've done double duty today. Thank you for both the pre and post match. Mitch, Marty, superb as always. Great to have you on. I think this is probably the best comment I could say from John. It was a beautiful Sunday, and I could not agree more. It really was. Look, lots of comment, lots of stuff still to come up next week. We'll have our usual podcasts and lots of daily shots coming up on our YouTubes and things like that. So please watch across all our social media channels, because we've got lots and lots of things coming up. It's a 2-week break, but it won't be a 2-week break for Rangers Journal, because we continue to carry on trying to give you guys the best content as every day of the week and as we go through the season. Thank you again, everyone. Just remember, Sundays are good when Rangers win, but also just remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Have a good one, folks. Take care.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.